I was a documentary photographer at the time, and the way I earned a living was working for different publications. And I received a call from the New York Times Sunday magazine that they had an assignment in Crown Heights, Brooklyn, about a person named Rebbe Schneerson. I had anxiety as I was walking up the block to 770 as a Jew, because growing up in Brooklyn, in South Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s, that was not an experience that was very rewarding or nourishing. I was escorted down, these funky staircases into the basement of 770. And there, visually, I had never experienced, and to me that it didn't even look like a synagogue. There were these long benches, and there was incredible fluidity about the place. People were sitting everywhere, standing on tables. It was the fourth yahrzeit of the Rebbitzin. And I was making my pictures, and as the Rebbe moved from the white wall and turned sort of looking west, the entire synagogue was moving. These long wooden tables were moving, and hundreds of men were moving, and I didn't know what was happening. And as I was perplexed, there was a guy in a black hat. Now, there were a lot of guys in black hats, to say the least. And he said, "Jump, jump." And I said, "Oh, you can't jump. It's disrespectful." And he said, No, jump. And I jumped down, and he sort of pulled me through this thickness of blackness, just hundreds and hundreds of Hasidic men. And they were pushing. They all wanted as close as they could be to the Rebbe. And I got to a certain point, and I made maybe like 8 images. I really believe the energy in that picture, it comes from a simple source. It's about love. That's what I think that picture represents. It's the love the Rebbe had for Jews, and you see it's their love for the Rebbe. And that is the most powerful formula. It's a symbol, as one of the last moments of the Rebbe before he was stricken by the stroke, that it sums up his life. And that's a pretty special feeling. Thank you, truly. Our lives are made up of moments. These moments could be metamorphosed into a movement, and that's why we are here tonight. We are gathered here tonight, sharing this moment as Jews, to honor a man that arrived on the shores of America in 1941. He would embark on a life in a new foreign land. He had a vision, and it was not an orthodox one. It would be revolutionary in its approach that would change the lives of Jews that lost their connection to Jewishness across America and the world. I believe and know that it was the Rebbe's unconditional love for every Jew that was at the core of the movement that is now known all over the world as Chabad. There are some places that are life-defining. The streets of Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s defined me. The odds were you either became a gangster or a cop, but what they had both in common was being great storytellers. I chose the middle ground and became a different kind of storyteller. When asked by the New York Times Magazine in 1992 to photograph Rebbe Mendel Schneerson, I never could imagine the moments I would experience over the next 32 years that changed the course of my and my family's life. The director of photography, Kathy Ryan, explained the story was about a Hasidic Rebbe, a leader of a group of missionary Jews. By that time, I was known for a body of work titled Uncle Charlie. It was about my wise guy uncle who suffered from mental illness. This body of work had been recognized by such foundations as Eugene Smith, the National Endowment for the Arts, and the Robert F. Kennedy Foundation for Human Rights. The New York Times wanted me to make image of this Hasidic Rebbe with the same intimacy as I did my uncle. The Rebbe who was understood to be larger than life. Before going to Crown Heights, I read the draft of the story. It was clear that the Rebbe was an important Hasidic leader, not just for his Brooklyn neighborhood, but around the world. I spent over a month making images of the Rebbe in the community. I was embraced by both. There was nothing orthodox about the Rebbe's approach to Jews in the diaspora. 770 emanated in an energy like no other. Intimacy, connection, love, devotion, all folded into an organized chaos, which made the opportunity to make moving images. I stood inches from the Rebbe, photographing as he was engrossed in his prayers, as if I didn't exist. When it came time to hold the Torah scroll, he moved with such energy and speed, I was taken back as he was soon to be 90. It is that energy that kept me coming back to 770, which gave me the opportunity to create even more important images for the story, The Oracle of Crown Heights. A photograph is a visual memory of a moment. And of all the images I made of the Rebbe and his Hasidim, it was the fourth Yitzhak of the Rebbe's wife when the Rebbe was facing east, praying during evening services, when all of a sudden the entire room was moving. I made the image of this tremendous passion and depth of belief innate to Chabad ideals. No one was a specter. The energy in 770 was palpable. The sparse furniture in the synagogue was irrelevant. It was pulsating spiritually that emerged during a Hasidic gathering. It was the Rebbe and his Hasidim, a deep connection. They were in love. They moved by his very word. And one interesting point of that photo is that the Rebbe is not centered in the image. The Rebbe is off to the side and the Hasidim are in the center. While I didn't understand it then, they were going to march out from that moment, follow his directions, and do better. Reach out to another Jew, be kind to another person, and of course, to build Chabad centers of love and inclusivity. As great as the Rebbe was in his own right, it was the Hasidim, to their adherent every word, who truly made him who he was and carried out his vision. And that's what made the image so compelling. There is something that is true now as it was then. In that sense, it's possible the Rebbe is even more alive today, more than ever. I'll never forget the dreadful morning in 2008 when I learned of the massacre in Mumbai's Chabad house. I called the magazine and asked them to assign me to go to Crown Heights. I felt my contribution to the memory of the Holzbergs in Mumbai was to finally materialize my idea of making images of the Shluchim, the Rebbe's army. I traveled to far-flung places like Siberia, Cuba, the Dominican Republic, and China. I learned in each location, the Jewish community needs are unique. In Siberia, the effects of communism were evident as Jews slowly continue to emerge and reclaim their Judaism. In places like Cuba, the Jewish community suffered economically. The Chabad emissaries learned to tap into the needs of their community, using them to spread the Rebbe's message and lessons. They embraced the unique cultural proclivities innate to that location. What ties all of these stories together, whether it's Passover Seder in Peru or the Boxer Yuri Foreman, is that we are all one people and there is no judgment. The Rebbe said America is a righteous country and we have tremendous freedom to practice openly. After traveling around the world to photograph Chabad, seeing how hard and dangerous it is to be a Jew, I decided over 20 years ago to cover my head. But with David Zaklikovsky explaining to me the difference of just covering my head and wearing a yarmulke, it's all about pride. As you can see, I heard him. David made it possible with his and his family's love for me to embrace the mitzvah of wearing tzutzes, having mezuzahs on all my doors, and recently making an effort to put tefillin on every day. The Rebbe told me in 1992 I should not forget about Mashiach. I've been explained that Messianic time is a time when people will live peacefully together. Together with David, a prolific journalist, we created The Oracle, Portraits of Rebbe Mendel Schneerson. The book is a microcosm of Messianic times. There are Jews and non-Jews, Democrats and Republicans, great Jewish leaders, everyday people, an artist, and even a homeless man named Charlie Buttons. They all tell of their relationship with the Rebbe, accompanied by images made of the Rebbe in 1992. I would like to thank my Rebbe for the vision that changed the course of Judaism, and more importantly, for his unconditional love for every Jew. David, thank you for all that you have given me. Rabbi Krinsky, my most heartfelt thank you, my deepest respect for all that you have given to make the Oracle of Crown Heights come to fruition. But it's your friendship and your beautiful smile over the last 32 years I am most thankful for. Special thanks to Rabbi Moshe Maya Lifshitz for supporting the book. And most of all, I would like to thank you, each and every one of you, for making our world a better place. We all keep the Rebbe alive, and we all can make this world a much brighter place. Thank you.